Welcome to the series of Oracle Fusion Middleware video lessons. In this video, I'm going to cover SOA and web services. Before starting with the Oracle SOA and web services, we need to be aware of Oracle Fusion Middleware also. You might know Oracle SOA is part of Oracle Fusion Middleware, but it is not only one product inside Oracle Fusion Middleware. It has so many other products also inside Oracle Fusion Middleware. So first let me type here the meaning of Oracle Fusion Middleware. Since I don't have a presentation, um, I'll be typing on the screen itself. Please excuse for the spelling mistake. Oracle Fusion Middleware is a collection of standards. Standard-based software products. So it's a definition by book. I'll try to give an general example. Just for a minute, I'll be finishing this definition. That spans a range of tools. So this is what Oracle Fusion Middleware means. It's a collection of standards-based, or it's a collection of standard software products that spans a range of tools and services. So when anyone says Oracle Fusion Middleware, it's not only a unique, it's not only one product. It has other products inside Oracle Fusion Middleware. So let me write down what are those inside Oracle Fusion Middleware. So it has Web Center product. It has SOA. It has Oracle Identity and Access Management, and it has BI related products, and even other products also. And it's not only Web Center. It's not only SOA. It's not only OIM. Inside it has other products as well. Web Center portal, a Web Center content, a Web Center sites. And in SOA related, it has SOA, Oracle SOA, and OSB, BAM, BPM, like this. And in Oracle Identity Access Management, it's a security related product inside. This has OAM, OIM, OUD, something like this. Everything related to the security. And BI is OBI, like this. Fusion Middleware, it's a collection of softwares, for say a SOA. It has SOA, OSB, BAM, BPM, even other products also inside. So to relate to the general example, say US has different states. So how I can relate? I can call USA is an Oracle Fusion Middleware. If USA is an Oracle Fusion Middleware products, the states inside USA, Web Center, SOA, OAM, BI, etc. Like other. Okay, so now you can imagine what Oracle Fusion Middleware product is by this time now. So Oracle Fusion Middleware product, it's a collection of products. So now in this video, we are going to see on Oracle SOA. The Oracle SOA, by book, the Oracle SOA is an architecture. Oracle SOA is an architecture for building, or maybe for SOA means service oriented architecture. See, SOA is service oriented architecture. Maybe now I'll not even talk about Oracle SOA. I will try to say it's an in general SOA. Because SOA is not uh, uh, from Oracle. SOA is not owned by Oracle, or it's not owned by anyone. You know, Oracle has implemented service-oriented architecture and they named it as Oracle SOA because they're following it, all the architecture principles in Oracle SOA. I'll try to even uh, put a note on this, the SOA related stuff. I'll try to cover in 2-3 minutes. So it's a service-oriented architecture, and by book the definition is it's an architecture. It's an architecture for building business applications. For building business applications as a set of loosely coupled components. Components orchestrated to deliver well-defined level of service. Right. So here I'll try to explain what exactly this means. So it's an architecture. So you can call maybe architecture is as Java guy, you can consider MVC an architecture. So it's a kind of an architecture. So it's a I can say it's a set of principles. So it's architecture set of architecture principles. It's a set of architecture principles. It's an architecture for building business applications, and you can. I hope you guys aware. SOA is not meant for creating a user interface, or creating an web application, or creating any internet application, or creating any desktop application. Um, it's meant to create the business applications. That means it's an architecture set of principles. By using this SOA architecture, we can use this SOA in our projects to make it as an service oriented, or to follow by following all these architecture principles. So it's a set of loosely coupled components orchestrated to deliver a well-defined level of service. So all the services which we are implementing, those should be loosely coupled. I mean, those by default are loosely coupled if you adhere to, if you follow service-oriented architecture, service-oriented architecture principles, or if you follow Oracle SOA, or if you use Oracle SOA, by default all the in general all the services become loosely coupled services. Loosely coupled components. So don't consider the spelling mistakes here. Components orchestrated to deliver a well-defined level of service. Orchestrated, SOA, it does the orchestration of your services. So orchestration means, in general, say a music troupe. A music troupe, um, a music troupe, there are different guys. Say a person who plays guitar, a person who plays a keyboard, a person who plays uh, some other instrument, but there's a person who orchestrates the show, the music show, because um, guitar person, he knows, the person who plays the guitar, he knows how to play guitar, but he don't know how to mix with the person who plays with the tabla or some other instrument. But there's a person who orchestrates everything. He's called a music director. He knows which bit of the music comes on what slot. You know, maybe or a minute. It only the guitar music. After a minute, it's going to be some other instrument. So the person manages is called, the person who manages the orchestration is a music director. So something similar. So what does the orchestration of what? Web services, set of loosely coupled services. So it does the orchestration of all the set of loosely coupled services. So this is a small example. I don't know how much I was able to relate. So so what is service here in a general project? A service is what? A service, it carry out some small function, very small, in short. So this is what a service means. Service is a service carry out some small function. I can call it a service. Since we're talking about service oriented, I just wanted to cover what a service means. Say in a retail domain, what service means in general, a validating customer, validating a customer. It's a service. And credit card check, credit check. It's a kind of service we are providing to the end user, or validating customer. We are providing this kind of service through our application, and it's a business one. We are validating our customers before before purchasing any products from our site. And analytical service, we can call this a simple analytical service. Simple analytical. So these are kind of services. So as I said, now SOA will orchestrate all these ones for us. So we don't need to worry about all the orchestration of each and every web service. Say, yeah, I'll try to cover in next sessions. Say for example, Amazon. In Amazon, when we are buying a product through online, for the end user, he is not aware what exactly it does. He simply add the product to cart. Though Amazon is not making those products, or they are not the manufacturer of the product, we only just buy the product from application. But inside Amazon, at least on top angle, Amazon is giving a service to us to purchase a product. Or say Amazon, they are interacting with their vendors. Say I'm buying a Apple phone from Amazon site. So Amazon, whenever they got the order from a customer from us, they will use the vendor as a service to send the notification. They'll send the notification to their vendor, and the vendor Amazon will again contact their a mailing agent. The what you call say a USPS, their agents, to send the product to the customer. So it's again a service. So what I want to trying to tell you is it's a service. Service means. So this is the kind of different services in Amazon site. What Amazon provides. So that is what in general service means. So each one could be, we can call it a web service also. In web service terminology, say this is a service, but how we can call this as a web service? service defined and deployed on web. I can call this as a web service. Now, so the service is defined and deployed in a web, I can call it as a web service. But in general, the service means providing a service to individuals. So web services which is defined and deployed on the web, I can call this as a web service. So before moving further, we need to know the architectures before say it is 2017. Before this, right? Say in 60s or maybe in 60 and 70s, what was there? Can you guess? So it was only mainframe. It is only mainframe, and the mainframe, and how do you interact? How do you interact to the mainframe? So mainframe, it has some terminal, something like our command prompt terminal in old days. So in mainframe, they call it as it maintains everything. It has all the layers. Now we know the 3-tier architecture, 2-tier architecture. We know what where the validations happens, and where the business logic stores, and where the data server are located. But in 60s, 70s, year 1960s, like that I'm saying. So in 60s and 70s, a mainframe, it has everything inside. Say data server, even business logic. I'll try to move up. Business logic, even the presentation. So everything is part of the mainframe itself. Everything is part of the mainframe server. So nothing, if you're accessing from terminal, there is nothing actually at the terminal. So there is no validation at the terminal. Everything happens at the server level. Say in maybe 70 to 80s year, the 70s, 80s, it's an again mainframe, I believe. But in mainframe, they have I think they done some separation. Accessed from through terminal. Even here it's PCs, I believe. So yeah, they have a PCs. At the time we have PCs, personal computers, and the validation happens at the PC level. That is a business validation, or validation, say validations. Even we can call this as a this is client server architecture. Client server. That means in the mainframe we have still data server. Even on business logic, that is in complete or application server related. Business logic, right? So maybe it is even till 90s, I believe, 70s to 90s, maybe in late 90s to 2009. This is the place where they introduced 3-tier architecture. 3-tier. So in 3-tier, it's a data server, database server, and app server separately, and then you have a PC's browser, P browser. So in a three-tier architecture, it is clearly separated: data server, app server, and the presentation layer. So the validation happens at the PC browser, and it has application server layer and data server layer, and so it is clearly separated. Hope you can get more from Google on this, the three-tier architecture. That is what we currently uses in almost in all Java projects and everywhere. So now so after three-tier, it's a service-oriented architecture. So what it means? What is the point why we required why they thought of a SOA here? You know, that is something. How can I put it? It's an say .NET, or in short, it's an isolation of your services. Isolation of services. It happens in a fashion. Say, uh, if you want to communicate an application, or if you want to communicate a service which is in .NET with Java so this is only possible with the help of a service oriented architecture. So that means with the help of web services or with the help of XML related uh, messaging system. So that is the way you can communicate between any systems um, with with not only Java, like ERPs, any ERP, say if this is from Oracle, and say you have SAP, this is again another ERP. To communicate with everything, it's going to be as services. Everything else. So this is what, in short, to communicate with any systems which is developed in any service which is developed in .NET, or any functionality which is in .NET, which is in Linux, say, which is in Linux, and say Java which is on Windows. So the interoperability, that's what the one of the biggest advantage for the SOA. It is possible to communicate with the program or application which is developed in .NET, which is hosted in Linux, and with an application of Java application which is hosted on Windows. So both can be communicated in at the high level. Both will communicate with the help of XML as an intercommunication. So finally, it is everything as a service. Let me put in short the SOA definition in general words that we can understand. That SOA, as I said, it's a collection of services or, as I said, orchestration, so enabling communication. Enabling communication between services. So this is another advantage or definition, whatever you call it as, and it's loosely coupled. These are the main advantages, to go with SOA architecture. So collection of services and enabling communication between services and loosely coupled. And even I think by this time you get to know what is SOA, service oriented architecture, at least how it came to the picture. And even before, we have actually procedural oriented language. The movement, the phases, the way it came. Say procedure oriented to it has moved procedure oriented to object oriented. I'm saying uh, the timeline, the programming timelines in a history, in a object oriented. Then I can say component oriented. Now it is service oriented. So this is the procedural oriented. We believe we use it in C. Object oriented, it is in any whoops terminology like Java. And component oriented, I think it's in .NET. They use in component oriented stuff. So now, after all these evolutions, now it is service oriented. So this is what the business demands. This is what the business demands. What they want it in different places. Even when I say business, business driven, uh, I'll tell you, in a business, everyone takes service oriented in different ways. Say architecture, how architecture thinks. How architecture visualize the SOA as, he visualizes it's an service oriented because he in service oriented. The developer feels, a developer visualizes, or developer insists object oriented. And my architecture developer and from the business side, say analyst, he thinks or he wish uh, it's a business oriented. So it's a perception from person to person, how they take this as you know in general. So but uh, for me, or in general, or I can say, mm, it is not what it was, before, right? It's a service oriented. We never imagined the need of service oriented before, or during this time. But now it is not what it was before. We never imagined this kind of requirements before service oriented. Well, it's it is not what it was before we started building web services. So this is how. And as I said before, SOA is not SOA is not, it's not given by Oracle. So I don't have any uh, presentation. So whatever I'm aware, whatever I with my experience, whatever I knew on the service oriented, I just wanted to put everything on paper here, so that you can understand at least basics on SOA, so that you can go and when you read about service oriented architecture books or something else, you can relate the things which I'm explaining here. So SOA, it's not given by Oracle, not even IBM, Microsoft. Or any native company, or any company. So they form as a team. They form it as a team. Say they call it as an oasis, I believe. Oasis is a group. So when I say oasis, it's a part of Oracle. There is a group. Oracle, Microsoft, and IBM. They or as a group, and they define these architecture principles. As I mentioned before also, it's an architecture, a set of architecture principles. So they defined a set of architecture principles. Even I think W3C is also part of W3C and YS, I believe. So they introduced architecture principles, and that is what we call it as SOA. So this is SOA and Oracle. They followed, or I can say Oracle has implemented. This architecture, in their tool. That is called our product Oracle SOA. I mean, that is what we are going to learn in the coming videos. So that is what Oracle SOA. So they followed all these architecture principles, or they implemented this architecture in their tool. That is Oracle SOA. So SOA is basically not from Oracle, or it's not Oracle is not owner for SOA. Because it's an architecture. To leverage this architecture, what we have to implement, or what we have to follow, or what we have to use. So that is what I'm going to cover now. That's very important. To leverage the Oracle SOA architecture, web service is the only way. This is what I'm as per my knowledge, to implement Oracle SOA architecture, to follow Oracle SOA architecture, or Oracle SOA, web service is the only way to implement SOA. With the wording would be different. But the meaning is Oracle web service is the implementation of SOA. Yes, I hope you guys are able to follow. Maybe I'll try to put it in a general example. Say house plan. Say your house building plan is comparable to SOA. I can say comparable to SOA. Your house building plan. So when I say comparable to SOA, so to construct the house, one of the bricks I can call one of the bricks as a web service. So now I think this is best example, I believe. So to build an house which is comparable to SOA, but one of the bricks is a web service. So by creating a web service, that means you are already done with the bricks. So only thing is, now we have to orchestrate all these services with the help of a SOA tool, right? Oracle has implemented this architecture in their tool. So now you have you're creating a web services as a kind of a brick, and you are trying to build a house with the help of SOA architecture. That is with the help of SOA tool. So, and this web service is as I said, it's a software function. As I mentioned before, it's a piece of service. It's a service in our website, or in Java it's an It's a software function. Don't consider the spelling mistakes. At network address over the web. That's very simple. Web service is a software function provided at a network address over the web. And how to access this? It can be accessed. It can be accessed using something called a WSDL URL. I'll cover about WSDL also maybe in coming videos. So this is what a web service is software function provided network address over the web. So it can be accessed using something called a WSDL URL. So now it is, or it should be simple for you guys. What is WSDL URL and what is service, and maybe to summarize, we got to know about the SOA history. We got to know what is service, what is SOA, and we got to know what is service, and I have covered about what is a web service with an examples I covered, of course. And I think this is, I have not covered much here, or the complete history. If you come from beginning, or we covered about Oracle Fusion Middleware product. So we started with Oracle Fusion Middleware introduction, and we moved to SOA history, and then we started with Oracle SOA and services. Here, say Fusion Middleware, it has different products, and we compared with the US as an example. Like each country has different states, like US has different states. Like Oracle Fusion Middleware, it's a fusion product or fusion of products, like Web Center, SOA, OM, and other products. And then we started about what SOA means, and we went to services, what services means in general, evaluating customer service, credit checker service, and we compared with Amazon. And then we went to history, what before SOA architecture, 60s, 70s, and 80s, or I can call it an 80s. No, 70s to 90s, I believe. That's what, again, not in 80s, 70s to 90s, and 2000. Now we are with the SOA service and architecture. Almost all the business challenges now addressed with the services based or services oriented architecture. And it started with the we started the programming stuff with the procedural oriented, then we moved to object oriented, then it is a component oriented, now it is service oriented. And then how SOA for different guys, how they visualize, how they want it to, how they want the SOA is. Architect thinks it's service oriented, developer thinks it's object oriented, and analyst thinks it's a business oriented. So, but for me, it was not what it was before we started building a web service. That's what I can visualize. And SOA is not given by Oracle or IBM, Microsoft. It is as a group, Oasis. So this is what, in general, maybe I'll try to put in an example before moving to the advantages. I think I have covered these bits and pieces, but I'll try to say advantages here one more time. I can maybe say in a hospital, we already considered retail as a domain. Now this time we'll consider healthcare domain. So here I'll try to put some appointment management. Appointment management, don't consider spell check. Okay, now this is one service, and I can take an image of this. So these are different services. Assume these are different services. One is appointment management in a healthcare domain. Other one is appointment management and doctor service. These are all general stuff in any healthcare domain or clinical service. Clinical service, maybe patient service, service, even the bed management service, bed management service, management service. So this is bed management. So now we have in a healthcare domain or in a healthcare project, we have this kind of different services, and each one. I think before that I should say the producer and consumer here. So I'll take another one, or I'll try to cover first these two. I'll say I don't have a presentation, sorry for that. So I have this one. Let me take image. So now for me, this is consumer, and this is a producer. So in a web service world, there are two things which we need to aware. One is producer and a consumer. Producer, who produces the web service, who defines the web service, or who writes a web service, we can call that as a producer. And the person who consumes the service, that is we can call it consumer. That means who uses. Say we're all viewing the weather report from our gadgets, from our in all the places, from laptop, from TV, or from mobile, everywhere. So a weather service, there's a guy who produces the data, he becomes a producer. We are consumers, we are just viewing the data in our devices, so we are consumers. A kind of, we are using the services, maybe through different interpreters, through a screen, through mobile, some web application, or through some some other mobile device. So this is a producer consumer concept. This guy produces, and he gives the request to know about the weather report, and as a producer he owns the web service, and he will give the response back to consumer. So that's why it is a producer consumer. It's a kind of request and response. It's similar to maybe in general function also. We are calling the function with the required parameters, and that function will give the response back with the return. For instance, I think say we have a function and say with the 2 or a comma b, and someone is calling this. I have written a complete program here, say a complete method. So this guy is a producer now. Now to call this in my function, in my program, I can say class dot, I'll call the function and I'll pass the parameters. We say 1 comma 2. So it does something, say if it is addition, it does addition here. So if you pass the parameters to this function, uh, it will give you the response back with the return. So return it will give you the result. Something, don't consider the syntax. So this is how you call in the function, and this producer will give you the result back. So your consumer, even inside your whoops also, you have the producer consumer concept, though it's not exactly 100% related. So you can relate since you are if you are from Java background. So we are creating a web service here, and the consumer will consume the web service. So let me go back. So this is a concept. Now in hospital management, we have a similar thing, uh, in a whole system, say appointment management. He is the consumer and he's taking the service from doctor service. In similar way, he's 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 again appointment management. He's interacting with the patient service and he's getting the required information. And he does he's a producer actually, but he's this producer now he became a consumer here, and he's taking the data from clinical service, and this is now a producer, but this can become a consumer also to the patient service. And now in similar way, this is again interacting with the other service. So like this, in SOA or in a service oriented, come on, okay. So this is how it communicates in each and every place and with each and every service. So now I'll try to say advantages over this. Now this is a consumer and he's a doctor service or producer. To make an appointment, he will this system or this function or this module or whatever you call, this is going to communicate with the doctor service to make the required functionality available for the appointment management. And again, doctor service, it's again a part of your module. It communicates to clinical service to get the required information about this patient. Say he want to get his information in the clinical service, his complete records. He will get it from the clinical service. But the appointment management, if you want to make an appointment, he should get the information about the patient. So this appointment management will call patient service. Once the patient service is available, if you want to book any bed, so it interacts with the bed management to see whether the beds are available or not. See, it is all the time interacts with different parts in the architecture. Uh, Appointment management, doctor service, clinical service, patient service, bed management service, everything is a service here, and I can say everything is a web service. And if it is in SOA, or if it is created using SOA, say a clinical service or patient service, if they remove this clinical service and if they introduced some ERP, some Oracle ERP, or even any other ERP, as long as the contract is doctor service to clinical service, if this does not change, I mean the contract if does not change, you can replace this clinical service with any other system, with any other service. Since the clinical service now, you say it's a part of organization, it's an in-house product, clinical service. So they see it as, they have to do some modifications on this. So instead of doing modifications, or instead of working on this clinical service, they simply bought the product from different company. And if they want to add in a general architecture, in a OOPS or in before SOA, it's very difficult. Or with only web services, it is difficult. But provided if we follow SOA, we can simply replace this clinical service. Provided if this contract, the doctor service between clinical service, this aroma, if this contract, I'll tell you what contract means. If this contract doesn't change, you can remove and add another product from different company. So that means it's a loosely coupled. That's the advantage. So I'll go back to this notepad. I'll try to relate with the examples. So first I'll start with the platform independent. So this is the best example, good example I can say. Already explained before also, but I'll try to cover service. Service written on Java can communicate with service written on .NET. Very simple. Written on Java. So appointment service, there's a chance this might be in .NET. Who knows? And this doctor service might be in Java, but both are able to communicate with help of your web service that is called communicating with a standard messaging service XML with any protocol that I'll come to know in short about the protocols, what it uses to communicate between producer to consumer. But for now, to get to know about advantages, it's a platform independent. This might be in .NET. This doctor service is in Java, and this appointment management which is in Linux, and this doctor service which is written on Java which is in Windows, might be a possibility. So still both can communicate. That is, I'm referring as platform independent. So there is no restriction. Say if you're in Linux, that doesn't mean you're not able to consume the service from doctor service from other system which is in Windows. Say moving to a loosely coupled. So I mentioned this. So if I remove this clinical service, if I wanted to add with the third-party product, I'm still okay with that because the contract is same. The contract here means WSDL, WSDL, WSDL. As long as it will not change, you don't require to worry about moving the service from one company to other company. And reusability. Say reusability, I can do this clinical service and I can write something on top of on clinical service from doctor service organization. Now this clinical services, say it came from third party, some other company, Oracle or some other SAP or something else. By sitting as doctor service, I can even extend this, and I can reuse this service based on my requirement. I can just only call this and get the required inputs, and I can work on the business logic from my end. I can do some addition calculations, whatever multiplications, and I can update to my site. So service is reusable. That is one example. And so this clinical service is required to the different company here, or this patient service is required for different organizations in your company or other company. I can directly go and reuse this patient service. I don't require to write another function or another method or another module, and I don't require to go for another deployment. Right? I can reuse it. Say maybe a simple example, Google uses SOA. Say if you open a mail attachment opens through Google Docs, right? It opens through Google Docs. When you open Gmail, we can open this Gmail, and there's there is a way you can open this document through Google Docs, and you know, same time you can save and can be saved on Google Drive. This is only possible when organization follows service around architecture. This is only a simple example. Google uses SOA. The mail attachment we generally opens through Google Docs or even from the browser that opens to Google Docs. And if you do some changes, you can save it in the Google Drive. So by having this everything in service oriented architecture, we can achieve these kind of benefits, right? So and a developer, a focused developer. Don't consider spelling mistakes. Focused developer. Say, if I'm writing clinical, if I'm working on appointment management, this guy is a focused developer on this service, appointment management. And then scalability. It's a general thing, scalability in Oracle SOA. We can increase uh, increase the scale, servers, or we can add another server without taking the downtime of the existing one. So I can, if I have 10 web services on one server based on the load of the application, I can extend the application. I can add another server to the existing cluster. If you are aware of Oracle Web Logic, then this sentence will make you understand. We'll increase the managed server in a cluster so that we will be able to accept the load, scalability. And by having the scalability, it is going to be availability. Since you have more than two or three servers, managed servers inside a cluster or inside on different servers, so it is going to be available all the time. I mean, the complete with zero downtime, right? So this is what the advantage is, but I think I missed one point here, one topic before. Even before SOA, before web service and SOA, before web service and SOA, there are other products also. What are those? We have, I think, Decom from Microsoft. Cobra we have, but these are not able to solve all the business needs. That's the reason we have a SOA introduced. So Microsoft and Cobra, even the standard one, Java RMI, which is very famous during those days. I can only relate this Java RMI. One second, maybe the other messaging services. So Java RMI, if you develop, we can achieve this also with the help of Java RMI, kind of communicating with one service to another. But only the problem is with Java RMI, you can only, the other side also should be, the producer and consumer should be in Java, should be in Java written program, and they should have the same port number all the time. So there are some disadvantages, problems with each of these before SOA coming to the picture. But after SOA introduction, after they introduced the SOA into the market, so all the business needs are possible. So think I've covered the SOA section here in bit, but before I can even jump to the web services. So what web services? So web service I'll try to cover with the small examples here. So as I mentioned before, I'll try to say how SOA web service come to picture. SOA has set of principles I mentioned before also. Set of principles, and web web services is a way. This is very, you can easily remember this, or you can, by reading this you can understand what is SOA and what is web service, and what we are using in SOA. Web service is a way, or for me it is the only way to implement those principles. So this is the only way to implement the SOA principles in our application. In our application. So in our application. So now, so this is the SOA has a set of principles, and web service is the only way to implement those principles in our applications. In our application. Even let me now. This is the time to show what a web service is really. Uh, I think I mentioned about this before. Say, take an example. This is the I'll make this as a consumer app, and this is a provider app. I'll take another arrow mark here, and I can, oops, okay, no problem. I'll just try it. So provider app is providing the service to consumer, and the consumer is consuming the web service. So in web service, this communication, let me take the text box again. So, oops. So this is through HTTP. So for each web service, the communication, we should follow some protocol. So this is in web service. I can call, there are different ways, but I'll try to say HTTP is the way to transport the data from provider application to consumer application, and the data communicates, the data format is going to be XML, JSON, where is this, JSON, XML, JSON, SOAP, there are different types, different ways. So this is the, so now it communicates over the HTTP protocol, a web service, and the messaging between producer and consumer while sending the request, it is going to be XML, SOAP, even JSON. I'm very bad in this mistakes. Okay, then even this web service thing, it has the same advantages: interoperability. It's a loosely coupled, and extensibility very easy with the same a web service way also. So what are the different types of web services we have? As I said, so I'll mention it over here. It is very easy for me. SOAP, we have two types of things: REST. So this, I think I'm not clear here. So consumer and provider both communicates with help of HTTP protocol, and the data format is JSON, SOAP, and XML. Anything you can. Each one, say in a web service we have two things. Each one, say SOA. SOAP in SOAP, it communicates with XM using HTTP post as a transport mechanism, on HTTP post, and the data is going to be XML. This is about how it in using SOAP protocol. I mean, we can develop the web services either using SOAP, or we can follow either SOAP or REST. That is, depends upon the need. But for REST, it is, we can go for any HTTP method. And the data format could be anything. I mean, simply it's not compulsory to be XML. Multiple data formats. So that's the advantage with the REST-based web service. So this is the one thing. So here, I think to make you bit understand about this, yeah, I'll say each language or platform has standards. For implementing these two types of web services. See, each language or platform, say Eclipse or even Developer IDE, don't consider spelling mistakes. So each language or platform has different standards to implement this kind of web services. So we don't actually require to write required to write from the beginning to create any web service. There are standards even for SOAP and REST. I'll try to save those two standards. Java web service standards, I can say. Web service standards. So Java web service standards. Java web service standards are JAX WS. JAX WS and JAX RS. So there are two types of Java web service standards. This is Java WS. This is for SOAP, and JAX RS. This is for the RESTful web services. To create a RESTful web service, we have to follow JAX RS standards. And to create the SOAP web service, we have to follow JAX WS standards. So simply, these are APIs. We have to follow these APIs. So instead of writing from the beginning, or instead of writing from scratch, instead of creating a web service from scratch, each tool has their own standards for implementing these two types of web services. So we can start from Eclipse. So we don't need to write the code from beginning, right? Simply you can annotate the method as a web service. So Eclipse does all the stuff for you guys. So that is in very technical if I go inside SOAP and REST, but for now I'll try to say SOAP and REST difference. So what in terms of, so SOAP web service uses SOAP protocol. SOAP web service uses SOAP protocol for transferring the data. That is how it does. To transfer the data, it uses a SOAP protocol. Whereas REST WS, it generally does not use any protocol, any specific for, say, for REST does not REST does not REST does not use any protocol. REST does not use any protocol other than basic HTTP. HTTP is a basic protocol for say, if you're opening Google, so it uses HTTP protocol to transfer and receive the data. So REST is very simple. It uses only HTTP protocol methods, general HTTP. Say in terms of, I can maybe say it's a protocol. It's a protocol. So SOAP uses SOAP protocol, simple. So REST uses general HTTP protocol. And for transferring the data, as I mentioned before also, SOAP web service sends and receives the data in XML format. This might not that much required for to learn SOA. Since I'm talking about the SOAP and REST, I'll try to put a difference also, so that you can relate the SOAP versus REST when we exactly use and what it does. And REST WS sends and receives the data in JSON, XML, text. We don't, not compulsory, like etc. So it's not compulsory to send the data over the communication layer with the XML. That's what the beauty of REST here, web service. But strictly it uses XML format. But for this, we can go for JSON, text, or anything. So for the WSDL, the service definition, service SOAP uses a WSDL to define the service. We'll come to know about this WSDL maybe in 4th or 5th presentation or 5th lesson. WSDL, I'll try to cover as much as I can about the WSDL. SOAP uses WSDL for defining the service. And REST, it does not need any service definition. Maybe some people uses WDL, but rarely, people use this WDL. So that is how. And maybe the last one, the rules. SOAP, it has so many rules. SOAP web service should follow rules during the WS creation. So that is what so we uses that we have to follow some rules, but REST does not. No rules, simply. No rules, no standard agency, because for the SOAP, as I mentioned, IBM, Oracle, Microsoft, they define the rules. That is very simple. They define the rules here. So that is in short about SOAP and REST. So what we're going to do, since we got to know about SOA, SOAP, WSDL, and web service in bit, at least bits and pieces of information about SOAP, SOA. Now the next lesson would be on XML. So this will cover the required XML stuff for you to understand SOA, for you to write the SOA web services. So that is what our next next lesson, next video, XML. It follows. Next we'll try to say in SOA we have some components, service components, and we have adapters. I'll just put the data over here, what we're going to do actually. So we're going to cover BPEL and mediators, and it has the service component. It has so many other stuff, say business rule, human task clause, or human task, some other stuff we're going to cover. And adapters, in SOA we have two: transactional adapters, like non-transactional adapters. I'm not writing everything here. So transactional adapters, maybe database adapters, JMS adapters, web service adapters, and non-transactional adapters, file adapter, FTP, something like this. Going forward, we're going to talk more about XML. Maybe followed videos, we're going to talk about each and every SOA service component and adapters in detail. This is just an introduction video on SOA. So I'll be covering each and every part of SOA, maybe with an example. This is just a theoretical session. Maybe from the next video, I'll try to put everything on IDEs or integrated development environments, either Eclipse or GeoDeveloper. Mostly for Oracle, I'll go with GeoDeveloper only. So that's how it goes. Maybe so once you are aware of SOA in bit and pieces, you can even go for my other video, which is like SOA installation, SOA developer server installation. There you'll get to know SOA installation. There is another video available. Another video available there. This is for the development server, dev server, or you can say dev or UAT or production. It's going to be simple. Prod server installation. So this is what it's available in another video. Installation, you can follow simply. You'll be able to do that. And there is another video, work environment setup. So this is your GeoDeveloper setup, GeoDev setup with the required SOA components. So this I'm going to cover it maybe in the next video. Maybe after XML, after XML lesson, I'll try to cover the development environment setup. This is the place where you actually write the services, all your web services, all SOA related things here. So that means next video would be on XML, and followed by the work environment setup, the GDAL setup with required components. After this, you can even see how to do the installation of actually how the development server or how general WebLogic server setups in the another video. So that's all for today. Let's see it in the next XML and WSDL sessions. There is more important, the most important topic, XML. We should aware of XML, in depth. No doubt about this, to understand the SOA components. Though the tool provides everything, but if you wanted to modify something on the web service, you should aware of what is, to understand that web service, you should know about XML in detail. There is no doubt on this. At least some basics. I'll try to cover what are the required things for SOA to understand. Okay. Thanks guys. Thanks for watching.